It's kind of bumpy. That's okay. Yeah, it says live.
Are we live?
Yeah. Hopefully this nice European SIM card does the trick. There, it's working.
Cool.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's Chris here from the Whistle Stop Cafe in Meerdere, Alberta. And obviously, I'm not at the Whistle Stop Cafe in Meerdere, Alberta. I'm in Holland with my new friend, Jasper.
Hello, people. Welcome to the Netherlands. And we're standing in Amsterdam.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. This place is amazing. There's lots of cool stuff here, lots of cool people. Amsterdam has an interesting scent. It smells familiar. I can't put my finger on it.
I will explain if you want to.
Yeah, sure. What does Amsterdam smell like, Jasper?
Amsterdam is famous for the coffee shops and everybody on the street is smoking weed. So that's the Amsterdam scent.
Wow. Weed at coffee shops, eh? Can you get coffee there?
Probably you can get coffee, but it's not where you the thing that you want to buy over there.
Well, it sounds like fun to me.
It is. If you're touristy and you want to have fun, it's fun in there's coffee shops all over the place. But I don't think we're here for the coffee shop, Chris.
No, definitely not. I wanted to come to Amsterdam and have a chat with some folks here because I saw some stuff, not actually on the news, but on social media about what the government's doing here and how the people are responding and how the government is responding to how the people are responding. And it made me realize that this issue we're having in Canada and what you're having here, it's not specific to our individual countries. And it seems as though this is a global thing.
It actually is. Some pronouncements are maybe different, but every country has the same problem. Maybe a bit differently, or they're pointing at something else. But it doesn't matter where you are, if it's Canada or somewhere in Europe, now in Amsterdam or in Australia. Everybody has the same. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but authoritative governments putting in measures. And they say it's for your own good, but yeah, everybody has the same issues, and that's why we're happy to invite Chris over and show Amsterdam and what's going on in the Netherlands and further down in Europe, of course.
Well, so far this has been fantastic, and I've been in contact with quite a few people who want to talk about some of this stuff. So basically, what I'm seeing here is the same as what we're seeing in Canada. It's a group of unelected, unaccountable people who are using their power to influence governments all across the world. And they're implementing things like, well, I mean, vax passes, that's obviously a hot topic these days. Vaccine mandates, net zero policies for carbon dioxide, which, as we discussed earlier, has impacted the Netherlands quite a bit, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw your power bill was, what was it, 52 cents a kilowatt hour?
I'm not sure, but they're raising it every half year. And of course we're in Europe, and the war is going on between Ukraine and Russia, and we're getting gas supplies from Russia, which is now being cut off of the harsh treatments. And yeah, we need to get some gas from somewhere else around the world, and of course that's more expensive. So our prices are going up like crazy, inflation is going up, and we see it in our electrical bills.
Yeah, I saw, so your power bill, your electricity was 52 cents a kilowatt hour, mine's 22 cents, and I was pissed off about that because it used to be 6 cents a kilowatt hour. And I read that letter you sent, you let me see that the power company sent you, and they're raising it to 85 cents a kilowatt hour. So we got some problems in Canada, and they got some problems in Europe, and one of the reasons I wanted to come here is because what happens in Europe, it's almost like looking into a crystal ball for what's going to happen in Canada, right?
Correct.
What happens here, the policies that are implemented here, they most of the time end up in Canada. And I can remember like 10 years ago hearing about things that was going on in Europe and thinking, That's crazy. Why would they do that? They're just going to hurt themselves, right? And then next thing you know, a year or 2 years later, it's happening in Canada. So that's I want to be here and I want to talk to people and find out what's going on and what the people think about it, because this is coming to Canada, and if we don't stand up and do something and say enough is enough and quit complying with the, I guess I'm going to be called a conspiracy theorist, but the globalist agenda. It is. We're in for a really rough ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Our electrical bills are Our electric bills are rising, but we see this inflation in the whole of Europe going massively. It's not only the gas who's been coming up from Russia throughout the pipeline to Germany and spread out to the Netherlands, but a big part of Europe. We have nuclear power stations in the Netherlands, in Germany, in France, and somehow they're all under construction and maintenance at the same time. So you see they're driving up the prices, and yeah, it's not surprising to see that it's happening throughout the whole Europe. And yeah, what's happening here, it's going to happen in Canada, and it's going to happen in Australia, and probably in America as well.
So I noted, I picked up on something, and I'm sure people picked up on it as well. You said they are driving the prices up. Now there will be some people out there who are madly pounding at their keyboards, slamming Red Bulls, and screaming at me that it's not the government doing this, it's the market. Now, if that's the case, if the market is doing these things, I would say that at this time, across the entire planet, we have the most inept, inexperienced, inefficient, useless governments that the world has ever seen. Because for all of these things to happen just by chance, just by circumstance, and not have, you know, these millions and billions of very smart people able to do things that put us on a path to prosperity as humanity, I would say we have a very serious problem. So whether you believe that this is being done purposely to increase the cost of things to the point we can't exist, or you believe that it's just the market doing it itself, we got to do something about it, because if we keep going down this path,
we're going to have a big problem. And that's why, for example, in the Dutch government, we had, during COVID came in, and we had a Minister of Health. He dropped down because he fainted. And then we got a new Minister of Health. It's called, by name, Hugo de Jonge. He's been pressing hard all the lockdowns for the measurements. Now the virus is a bit going less, and the same doctor type of minister has now shifted in a place, and he is now the Minister of Housing. And with the same pronouncements, he's putting regulation on houses or whatever. And now first he was like doctor experience, and now he knows everything about houses.
So maybe it's not about health, and it's not about houses.
It's just a front, as we call it. I'm not sure if I'm in Holland we do a lot of swearing, and I'm not swearing, but it's just a puppet in front of a government which has been elected. And they've been giving us a letter, just read this in front of the camera and hope people will buy it.
So when you talk about the government, how many parties did you say you have here in Holland?
Oh, now in Paas.
Should we cross?
Yeah. By the way, people, we're in the city of Amsterdam, city center, and we're now walking on Dam Square, where you will see later, you will see the Royal Palace. Exactly, this is the Royal Palace of our King. This is where our freedom, if you turn around on the other side, on that side there's the Freedom Monument. So after the World War...
That phallic structure is the Freedom Monument.
Yeah. Every year we're thinking about World War and remember it on this square. And even on this square,
I got to tell you something about that. So we observe Remembrance Day in Canada to remember the fallen, those who gave their lives for our freedoms.
Yeah.
Our Prime Minister doesn't attend.
Okay.
He goes on a vacation and leaves Canada and doesn't attend anything to do with our veterans or honoring the fallen or anything like that in our country.
How shameful!
It is shameful. Absolute
But
shame.
the last 2 years, the measurements are our royal, our King Willem-Alexander, and the democratic elected people in the parliament could remember the World War here, but we're not allowed. We're supposed to stay at home and watch by television. This whole square is now midnight, actually after midnight, so it's a bit quiet in Amsterdam during the week. But it was empty like this, and it's supposed to be full of people still remembering what happened almost 80 years ago. So it's supposed to be for the people and not for the elite. So I was really mad.
And this is I imagine it's a little bit different for the Netherlands, because Netherlands is right in the middle of the conflict. Like, things are happening all around them, and these atrocities were right next door, right?
The Germans came in here. By the way, we're over it, but we still want to remember what's going on because we want to protect our future. And by remembering what happened, it's some sort of protection for the future.
So you can forgive and move on, but you don't forget.
We won't forget.
Yeah. Well, in Canada, it seems like a lot of people, including our Prime Minister, have forgotten, and they're going down a path that I believe has the potential to make what was fought for all for naught.
Yeah.
Should we keep walking?
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
Depends on where you want to go. Over there is a red light district.
What's a red light district? Does that mean there's lots of stoplights? We should check that out. Yeah, sounds interesting.
The red light districts are red. By the way,
where there's the books are?
Horse.
Books. Ah, yes, library district. Red light library district. Okay. Well, what else is around here?
No, you were actually in city center. If we're going on that way, there's Amsterdam's train station. You're middle in the shopping street, so this over there is the old church. The royal family has been buried there. The Netherlands, the family of the royal Netherlands, Willem-Alexander, has been buried there, and our queen Maxima has been married in that church.
Oh, okay.
So over there we've got a big shopping mall. It's called the Bijenkorf. Not that interesting. And after the Freedom Monument, it's one of the most luxury hotels, it's Krasnopolski Hotel. On the other side we've got Madame Tussauds. So,
well, you know what? In Amsterdam, you got to go and at least walk through the red light district and see what it's all about, right?
Oh, but we're probably not allowed to film everybody.
No, we won't film it.
Okay.
No.
So, by the way, I'm Jasper. I'm a journalist for CommonSenseTV.nl, and I'm showing Chris a bit around here.
Yes, it's nice to have a guide, and Jasper has very generously offered his place for me to stay at for a few nights, and he cooked me an awesome supper tonight, so thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
So, getting back to the farmers.
Yeah.
One of the things that really kind of compelled me to come here was I was watching those videos of farmers actually, like their tractors being flipped over by excavators, and they were shooting at them.
Not at the moment, but yeah, that's happened a couple of months ago. There was this farmer protest, and a young farmer, 16, was driving his tractor, and he was a bit shocked, and the police police shot at him, gave a statement that he was driving into them, over the police, which gave them the okay sign to shoot, but he was just driving away on a roundabout. Luckily it was filmed by from all kinds of corners, and so quickly came in that the police were wrong, and actually Can you take that for a moment? Of course. And actually because everybody filmed that accident incident, the farmer from 16 years old came free of charges, and actually the police were charged who shot. So
how much farther do we have to go before we can't film?
We will see. I think maybe a minute or 5.
Okay. So farmers are getting a tough time. Why are they in the streets in their tractors?
Yeah, they're for a couple of years now. Farmers are really on themselves. They want to produce food, take care of the livestock, and be on their own. So
sounds like terrorists to me. They want to farm. That's terrifying.
Yeah, they want to produce food because the Netherlands is one of the biggest agriculture growers and suppliers to the rest of the world.
And how many people in Netherlands?
Living in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
There are almost 18 million people living in this small little country.
18 million. That's almost 5 times as many as in Alberta, and probably close to about the same area. So I would say farming is pretty important here.
It is. It's a source of income. 2/3 of the land has been owned by the farmers, and we produce high-end quality food. Potatoes, some tomatoes we grow. Dairy farms produce a lot of cheeses. We have a lot of pigs for meat, but also to supply, for example, to Italy and Spain for making ham, Serrano ham, or a Parma ham. Yeah, we're supplying a lot of food to the world, and they want to have that stopped. And by giving it, yeah, your cow is farting, so that's carbon emission, and you need to stop farming. They want to kick it out and bring in the land.
And they want to do the same thing as they did in Sri Lanka, which was reduce the amount of ammonia-based nitrogen fertilizer, right?
Yeah, that's the second issue which they came up, because they need to have a license. They need to have license for all kinds of sort. Nitrogen, nitrogen emissions. What was the word that you were saying?
Ammonia.
Ammonia emissions. And if you're taking these licenses away, you're not allowed to listen. This is one of the how you call it? Canals? Canals. Herring. This is it's closed now, but it's a Dutch herring shop where they sell raw herring.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So in Canada we use herring as bait for bigger fish.
Now in here it's one of the traditions and local foods. We fishermen go up to the North Sea, getting a.
And the bike taxi is coming in Amsterdam.
Hey!
There you go.
Where are you from, guys?
I'm from Canada.
And you're living?
Yeah.
You do this for a living or just?
No, I serve hamburgers for a living. It's true.
Nice.
You're welcome. Basically, we've got our farmers are really great people, and for getting on the streets, taking your tractors, leave your farm behind to make a point to the government, that's a big hassle, and that on itself should say enough.
So we had something similar happen in Canada. Our government put in some policies that threaten the livelihoods of our truckers, which are the backbone of every country.
Yeah.
And the truckers did that. They took their trucks and they took them out of work and out of the supply chain, and they drove to Ottawa, thousands of them. So that there's a red light there. What does that mean?
Well,
they went to Ottawa so that they could have a conversation with our government about the policies they were making. And our government didn't even come out. The Prime Minister hid. He had fake COVID for the 14th time, right after his boosters.
It's always an excuse.
He wouldn't have a conversation, and then it's come out through an inquiry that we had that the government was actually communicating internally, telling the ministers to call the truckers terrorists so that they could impair them.
Yeah.
They didn't even come out and talk to them. And these people, there was hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people there over the course of a month. And our government didn't even listen. So is the government listening here?
No, they're not. There are tens of thousands of people going into the streets all the time, each month. But they're labeled as terrorists as well. How you say it? They've been labeled as terrorists as well by how you call it? The Department of Justice and Security. They've got a branch office. This is not just bringing out reports, and they're saying, listen up, you're terrorists, you need to shut up. Bank accounts are being closed from protest organizations.
Sound familiar?
Actually, I'm doing court cases as well, so I'm filming in court these cases, and your mouth is dropping what you hear about us. If you're going into a coffee shop and you're getting stoned in Holland, which happens a lot, you call your mental physics, it's called in Dutch, if you translate it, wappie. And
so stoners are called
wappies.
Wappies.
And of course, people in politics are saying all these protests are wappie, they're crazy, they're sniffing around drugs and stuff, they're terrorists.
Does that sound familiar? In Canada, there's been some stuff circulating where the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Ontario, they actually suggested that doctors may declare people who are vaccine hesitant as having mental disorders and treat them with pharmaceuticals so that they would accept and be compliant.
Yeah.
And this kind of talk is happening all over Canada, where those who speak out against the government or have a different opinion or actually just want to pay attention to facts instead of some, you know, ideological bullshit that a globalist organization is pushing, they're telling people that they're crazy. Our premier in Alberta, including the Prime Minister, which you saw, used name calling to try and turn the rest of the people against this small fringe minority with unacceptable views. That's
what I love. If you're going in Holland at least, and I guess it's the whole world, they hate it when you're speaking up against the government. They rather have groups mixed up and fighting each other so they can do whatever they want. And that's, putting groups up against each other, calling their names. Actually, our Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, told us, and if I'm translating it, to shut the fuck up to the whole people. The health minister say, you're allowed to go to see a football match, stay 1.5 meters apart, and just sit your ass down. These words were standardly used by the elites. So I don't think these are the words the elites should talk about to the citizens.
And what was the impact of that? Did it cause friction between the people in the Netherlands?
I think it's more like with common sense, people were saying that's not the voice of an elite, and the voice became bigger by it. And actually, when they were allowed in the football stadium, they were chanting for the health minister to shut his mouth.
Wow.
So
in the United States, they were chanting, "Let's go, Brandon."
Same thing. So I've made a video about that. So let's go, Brandon, FGB, and then eventually in our stadium, shut your mouth and sit down. Prime of Health Minister Hugo de Jonge. So it was fun.
So the point of this conversation, and what I really want to get through to everybody, is that if you are one of the small fringe minority with unacceptable views, and those unacceptable views meaning, you know, you believe in freedom, you believe in free choice, self-determination, those kind of things, you know, those fringe beliefs, you're not alone.
You're not.
And
that's what they want you to believe, because that will silence you, but you're not. That's exactly the thing. They want to divide us and make you feel small. But if you look, and especially from our platform, a news and opinion platform, if we see how many people are supporting us, they're having a hard time, and still a hard time to come.
Do you have much English content on there? I saw a couple English videos.
I've got a couple of English videos. My platform, our platform, is based and for the Netherlands, but of course there are some global things happening, which movies we translate with Dutch subtitles and vice versa. And actually I spoke to a Canadian as well, so and that's in English. So go watch it.
Where do they find that?
If you, for my personal YouTube account, you go to YouTube, Common Sense Jasper. And if you search on Google at Jasper CSTV, you will find all my stuff.
So at Jasper CSTV, CommonSenseTV.
And our website is the CommonSenseTV.nl. So you find all our news and opinions written by my and my 15 colleagues.
So you should check that out. Check out the English videos, or maybe sit down with one of your Dutch friends and have them translate for you. In the meantime, I'm going to go do some more sightseeing, but I just want to make sure that you didn't miss the point that if you are one of the small fringe minority who believe in freedom and self-determination, and you don't want to go down a globalist path that ends with you owning nothing and being happy, forced to comply, otherwise your digital ID and currency is turned off, which is what is coming.
Actually, the CBDC has still been talking around in our parliament, so it's still going on. Our new health minister, the third in COVID period, is still want to have this special laws with saying now we've got an emergency put in place. So it's still going on, and they want to put it sneaky somewhere when nobody is watching. But we're watching, and we're putting it on our website.
It's like our gun laws. They're trying to sneak some stuff into our gun laws so that we become like the Netherlands and nobody has guns. But it didn't happen yet. So anyway,
they will. So keep on watching and speak out the truth.
Yes, absolutely. And just know that you're not crazy. You don't need to be drugged or fixed in any way if you believe in freedom. And there's people all over the world who think just the way you are. And this is not something that's just happening in Canada. It's happening everywhere. And I really think we've got to start paying attention and pay attention to stuff that's happening in places like Europe, where it's a little more advanced. It's happening faster, so that we can prevent it from happening.
Yeah, we're our elite, our parliament, wanna be in front of everything, showing how good they are. So in Holland, we're most of the time getting smacked around with the measures, new laws, new rules by this globalistic elites.
Well, I've had enough of big government. I said enough is enough a couple years ago. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to go and talk to as many people everywhere I can who are saying the same thing, so that everyone knows they're not alone and they got the courage to do it themselves. So.
Perfect, Chris. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll do it again. But in the meantime, let's go do some sightseeing where we're not allowed to film.
We're going to the red light districts, and the girls standing in front of the windows.
There's none of that there.
Okay.
No, it's none of that. It's just libraries.
So we're not allowed to film, but we want to have the touristy stuff.
Yes, we're going to go check out the library district, and we'll be back later on this evening with an update. Talk to you later.